We are live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to How to Say No. It is a people pleaser's guide to saying no. It is such an important skill, especially for your mental health, because without your mental health, you have nothing. So we're super excited to have Louise here today, co-hosting with us along with Collab Collective on a guide to saying no. So hope this helps y'all level up your career. And really quick, I'm Grace. I founded Design Buddies. I'm sure y'all know what Design Buddies is, but if you're a new Fluffle fam, we're the largest design community in the world with 26,000 members. We have many events like this one to help you level up your soft skills as well, to help you all level up in your design career. And this is Fluffle, our friendly bunny mascot. So this is Fluffle, our friendly guardian character. And full-time, I'm a product designer at Electronic Arts, so I see a lot of product designer friends. And during the event, we'll have a networking sheet and a Q&A session, but I'll pass it over to Josh to introduce Collab Collective and some house rules we have for our friendly event tonight.
All right. Hey, everybody. Glad to be here. My name's Josh. I'm from Collab Collective. We are redefining the way creatives connect. So we like to host fun online videos and collaborate with large other design communities and just cross collaborate. So with that, really excited to be here with you and introduce Louise. Before I do that, just want to share a little bit of ground rules for this session today. So there's going to be some Q&A at the end. We have a link to Slido. So if we'll add the link there, ask all your questions there, we'll upvote it. And then also during this event, we are going to have 2 breakout room activities. So when that happens, the recording will be paused, and then yeah, it's going to be really interactive, really engaging. So get ready for that. And with all that said, I would love to introduce to you guys Louise Lee, and she's an amazing professional life coach and executive coach and amazing speaker. So if you guys have any troubles with just saying no, or just having clear goals and criteria on what to say yes to, she's going to really give us a lot of insights into that. So with that, I'm going to welcome Louise. All right.
Yeah. Hello. Oh, wow. That is epic. I love the graphics, by the way, Josh. They are so cool. I love this. Hi, everybody. My name is Louise Lee. And I love how some of you already shared in the chat where you are from. I would love to know, where are you tuning in from today, this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whatever the time is for you. So let us know where you are at right now, like physically. Mentally, sure. Emotionally, yeah, too. But yeah, physically, where are you at? Let us know in the chat. So thank you so much to Grace and to Josh for inviting me to talk to you today. Hooray for Design Buddies and Collab Collective. I am so excited to be with you here today. And the fact that you showed up here today says a lot about you and your thirst for knowledge and learning and growth. So thank you for being here. And I can't wait to share all this good stuff with you. There's only so much I can share with you in today's session. And if you're interested in learning more, I'll tell you how to do that later on. But first, I want to tell you something. It was 13 years ago, and I just moved to Vancouver from London, England with my husband. I was working in an industry that left me successful, but feeling empty. And if any of you feel like that, drop a "yeah, that's me" in the chat. And it wasn't just the job that felt that way for me. My marriage was crumbling, to be honest. And I had some really big decisions to make in my life. Like, do I stay or do I go from my job, from my marriage, even from Vancouver? Do I go back to London, England? Yes or no? I took the plunge. I separated and divorced my husband, and I chose to stay here in Vancouver, BC, which is where I am right now talking to you. And I chose to stay here on my own. I quit that job. I took a chance on a new and completely different work opportunity. And that was how I discovered what I really loved. And then I got recertified, and I'm now running my own thriving coaching practice. And in fact, just last week, I was named one of the top coaches in Vancouver, BC. It's kind of crazy. It's really crazy. Plus, I'm also happily remarried to a Canadian, no less. So if you have any Canadians in the house, give me a hell's yeah. You are the best. Apart from the Brits, of course. And if I can... Oh my God. I don't know if I'm going to get through this workshop without just like laughing and being super excited and happy. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is the reason why I'm telling you this is because if I can have a life that I am thrilled about, you can too. And I'm here to help you do just that. So in the next 45 minutes to an hour, what we're going to cover is, first of all, what it is about saying no that feels so terrifying for you. Okay. The second thing is how to figure out when your yes should really be a no. And then thirdly, you will walk away with tools and techniques that will help you say no successfully. And this session is interactive. So if you haven't already, please open up the chat box in Zoom, because I'll be asking you to type things in there as we go along. And also grab a pen and paper or your favorite notebook or journal, because you'll be doing some writing later on as well. So speaking of which, here's the first question I want you to answer in the chat. On a scale of 1 to 7, how focused do you plan to be with me today? So 1 is completely unfocused. It's chaos where you are. The kids are fighting. The animals are yelping. You're just here for background noise while you deal with the chaos. Okay. 7 is you're bringing real focus. You're locking the kids and the animals in the other room, and you're bringing your full attention. So whatever the answer is, put it in the chat. I'm seeing 7, 6, 7s, 5, 7, 6s. This is so awesome. Whatever it is, it's okay to me. I mean, you're a grown-up, you can frame your own answers. But what I ask you to do right now is to make one adjustment to your environment that will help you hit the number you wrote in the chat. Okay, so for me, it's putting my phone out of reach. You might close some open windows on your computer, or you might shut the door. I love how some people have written like an 8 or a 9, and which is awesome. And I really admire your enthusiasm, but I have to admit, you know, I won't be hiring you to do my taxes because the scale was from 1 to 7. But anyway, here's another question for you. And I invite you to think hard about this one. This is a session where there will be a degree of self-reflection involved. So my question is this, to answer in the chat again, on a scale of 1 to 7, how much risk are you willing to take with me today? So 1 is no risk whatsoever. You're hoping to learn nothing new, think nothing new, try nothing new. You just want this whole session to flow over you and be completely unaffected. Okay. 7, on the other hand, is like you saying, honestly, Louise, I really have terrible, bad personal boundaries. And, you know, when we do that naked thing, I'm going to be the first one to take my clothes off. Okay, that might be what it's looked like. And don't worry, nobody's going to be taking their clothes off. Okay. So how much risk are you willing to take? How much vulnerability are you up for this evening? And I'm seeing lots of, again, 7s, 6s. Oh my goodness, you are all so amazing. Saying no is such an important factor to not just success at work, but to our fulfillment and our happiness in life, as Grace was saying earlier. I know this because I constantly said yes instead of no early on in my life, which worked really well when I was younger and I wanted to please. If any of you have that kind of people-pleasing tendency, just put, yep, people-pleasing or me people-pleaser in the chat. But as I kind of went through life, that became less and less sustainable to keep saying yes when I meant saying no. Because as I moved through my career, I became burnt out in a job that I dreaded. I was unhappy in that marriage I told you about earlier. And I was living a life that felt as though it belonged to someone else. And that's because it was someone else's, because I kept saying yes instead of saying no. So I understand. So what about you? You won't know what the next step is for you unless you know where you are right now. So let's take a quick look at where you are. On your screen, you are going to see a poll come up with 4 short questions. Okay, you're going to see a poll come up with 4 short questions. What I'm going to ask you to do right now is to answer, here they are, answer those questions as quickly as you can. Don't overthink them. There's no judgment here. So off you go. Answer those questions as quickly as you can.
love the meme music. It takes me back to my childhood.
Right?
Yeah.
Remember, don't overthink your answer. There's no judgment. Ooh, ooh.
Yeah, it's all anonymous.
It's all anonymous.
Yeah.
Totally digging this music, man. Can we do the whole workshop just polls so we can have this music?
I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
Such a vibe. Yeah.
Okay, so we're seeing lots of results come through, which is awesome. I'll just give you a few more seconds. We're getting there, getting there. I was the same. I was not expecting the music with the poll either. This is so great. This is so great.
Just makes it that much more fun.
It really does. Yeah. Okay, there are a few of you left. You know who you are. Click submit as soon as you can, and then we can have a quick look at the results.
All right.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, yeah, let's have a quick look at the results. And the reason why I want to share the results right now is because I want you to know that you're not alone. You're not alone in the answers that you answer. Well, apart from if there's like one person who answered that, then you're super alone. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll now. And I'm going to share the results. So hopefully you can see this, right? That a lot of you feel the same, right? Can you assert yourself when you're not part of the majority? Some of you are like, some of the time, right? In fact, most of you said some of the time. A lot of you said not very often, okay, which is cool. Can you say no without feeling guilty? Some of the time, not very often. I hear you. Do you feel comfortable expressing strong feelings, right? Again, some of the time or not very often. And do you feel like your needs are important? This one was really telling. Most of the time and some of the time. So if there's something that you learned from there, drop it in the chat. Let's see what it is. And thank you very much for answering that. And what basically it is now that you've got some insight into where you're at, let's look at where you want to get to. So I invite you to imagine the following. Imagine a world where, hang on a minute, I've got to do it in the voice. Imagine a world. But imagine a world where waking up each morning inspires you and you're able to be and do your best every single day. Imagine a world where you confidently and clearly say no. And if that's what you want, give me a hell's yeah in the chat or give me a thumbs up on the screen. Either or, that's all good. Okay, so we are hell's yes, exactly. So we are here today to work on saying no. And so you might actually have a no already in your mind that you would love to say no to, but you haven't yet, or you feel as though you just can't. Okay, so tell me in the chat right now, what is one thing you are dreaming of saying no to in your life at this point, but you just haven't? Okay, it could be something that you feel as though you can't for any reason, you would love to, but you are maybe worried about the repercussions. Or maybe you're worried about what other people think, or maybe your relationships with certain people. Maybe you're even worried about getting fired from your job. So whatever it is, add it into the chat, what your dream no is. That's what we're going to call this, your dream no. And we're going to be coming back to your dream no throughout the rest of our session today, because that's what you're going to be working on. I love how somebody wrote, I have so many dream no's. That's great. Choose one. just one for today. So because we are live streaming and because this video will be being made available, I'm never going to name any names in the chat. So please feel free to share what it is that's true for you. But I will share some of the things that you write, just so people who are watching feel as though they are other people just like them. So for example, saying no to family members who take you for granted. Oh my God, yes. How many of you have trouble saying no to your family? How many of you have trouble saying no to your parents? Oh my God. Saying no to family obligations, saying no to family specifically, saying no to a pay bracket that is too low. All right, yes, because I want all of you to make the money that you want. saying no to people who try to guilt trip me, saying no to people who gaslight me for favors. This is some serious stuff, my friends, right? Saying no to things I don't agree with at my job and to bosses and coworkers. This is so great. Keep them coming in and hold on to that dream no you just came up with and think of that as we go through today. In fact, if you want to, jot it down in your journal so that you can come back to it. But first, let's get clear as you start dropping in your dream no. Let's get clear on what saying no is and isn't. Okay. Just so I'm clear, saying no is not a way of controlling others. Okay, I don't know about you, but sometimes I really wish I could control some other people. You can just ask my husband about that. But it's not a way of controlling others. Saying no is also not a way of trying to change others either. And it's also not a way of criticizing others, right? And it's not a way of trying to prove that you're right and they're wrong. And it's certainly not an excuse to not do something you know is actually important for you to do. So what saying no is it's a way of managing yourself and your own life. It's a way of managing your time, your energy, and the resources that you have. And let's get straight in there. It's a way of setting and maintaining boundaries, one of our favorite words, right? It's about honoring your integrity and what's important to you. You might have heard a lot of discussion just generally recently about self-care, especially at this time that we're going through in the world. And saying no is about self-care. It's about being clear about your boundaries, and it's about self-love. And that's all totally awesome, right? But how do we say no, Louise? Okay, are you ready? Because here is how we say no. You ready? Okay, here's how we say no. Do you like my high fidelity slides today? But seriously, this is how you say no, right? This is how you say no. I mean, who said we can't have a laugh talking about these topics? But anyway, you say no by saying no. You can give a reason. You can not give a reason. You can say it lovingly and kindly. You can just say no at work, at home, to your boss, to your clients, to your partner, to your parents. You can say no if you want to. So you know how to say no. And yet we are still here today. So maybe you are still worried or concerned or terrified of saying no. So what this basically means is that it's not that you don't know how to say no. The problem is all of the meaning you put on saying no, right? It's like an iceberg. Here's the no, but really it's all about what is going on here, all the meaning you put around saying no, okay? So when someone asks us to do something, could be a favor or not do something, we tend to have three general answers, right? So we have yes. This might be your default. If you're a people pleaser, that might be you, especially if you tend to want to please others or you don't want to rock the boat. Do any of you identify with not wanting to rock the boat? Yeah, put it in the chat. Yeah, definitely do not want to rock the boat. Let me tell you about one of my clients. Her name is Mary. And Mary was like this too, right? See if you recognize yourself in her. So Mary kept saying yes to her parents, funnily enough, whenever they asked her to visit them, even though she didn't want to. And she came to our sessions and she felt so frustrated because she didn't want to spend every weekend with them. But she also felt so guilty about saying no to them. I mean, they were her parents. If any of you feel guilty about saying no to your parents, just say, yeah, guilt equals parents. So to make matters worse, this was actually putting a real strain on Mary's marriage. So through our work together, she realized something. She realized what was driving her to say yes was she had a need to prove to her parents that she was just as good, if not better, than her brother and her sister, than her own siblings. If any of you identify that, you know, comparison with your siblings, especially in the eyes of the parents, let me know in the chat. So once we sorted that out, she started clearly yet lovingly saying no to her parents. And guess what? Her parents were okay with it. And Mary's much happier. And actually, so is her husband. So saying yes might be a thing for you. It might be a default for you. Another option, of course, is saying no. And there's a reason why saying no is terrifying. And it's actually to do with our evolution. This is not a get out of jail card for you to never say no, but it's there for a reason. Because back in our hunter-gatherer days, in order to survive, we had to work with other people. We wouldn't make it if we were on our own, which meant that we had to fit in. And that often meant going with consensus and pleasing others to survive. So that's about saying no. You may also give another option aside from yes or no, and that could be maybe. Right? How many of you say maybe very often? If you say maybe quite often, put maybe in the chat. Maybe you do. So saying maybe might actually be a default for you because let's face it, it's easy. There's no commitment there. And it's great if you're confused or uncertain because you don't actually have to make a decision. And you're not the only one. Many of my clients feel the same way. And so we often get to the root cause of it so that it no longer feels like stress and panic and anxiety when it comes to making decisions. Because let's face it, saying maybe is a bit of a cop-out, isn't it? It's a bit of an excuse because if you keep saying maybe, this is the thing, it just gives you more work in the long run because you still have a decision to make. So if you say maybe a lot, if you put maybe in the chat 1,000 times, apparently, I invite you to start replacing maybe with either a yes or a no. Now, here's another thing about that. You can always change your mind. Remember, I have been through a marriage, separation, divorce, and I'm now happily remarried. You can change your mind. I'm here to tell you that, and it's okay. It's not the end of the world. But there's a myth around saying yes. So let's debunk that myth straight away. And that myth is that it is less scary to say yes than it is to say no. Okay. If you believe that to be true, that it's actually less scary to say yes, it's scarier to say no, let me know in the chat. Okay. Yes equals less scary, no equals scary. Just type that in the chat. But it's actually not true. That's why it's a myth. Because saying yes to things you don't want to say yes to is toxic to your dreams, It erodes your well-being and your ability to actually live a powerful, joyful, and fulfilling life. So let's look at what is stopping you from saying no and why it's so scary. In a moment, you are going to go into a breakout room with a partner. When you get there, the person whose birthday comes next in the calendar is A, and then the other person is B, okay? And for this, A's will go first. So when you get into your breakout room, figure out who's A and who's B, and think of that dream no that you thought of a few moments ago, okay? And then I'm going to invite you to answer certain questions. And perhaps if somebody can type these questions in the chat, that would be super helpful. There are 3 questions I invite you to ask each other, take turns when you're in the breakout room in a minute, okay? The first question is, what does saying no mean? Okay, the first question you're going to ask each other is, what does saying no mean? What does saying that dream no actually mean? Either to you or about you. What does saying no mean? Second question, what's terrifying about that? Okay, so whatever your answer was for the first question, second question is, what's terrifying about that? And then the third question you're going to ask each other is, now, what's terrifying about what you just said? Okay, so what we're doing is we're starting to peel back the layers of the onion and figure out what is really terrifying you about saying your dream no, okay? So the deeper you go, the more insight you'll get into what's going on for you. You'll have 3 minutes each to answer the 3 questions, and then you swap over with person A asking the questions and person B answering, okay? Notice what comes up for you. We'll see you back in 3 minutes. You've got the 3 questions, and off you go. We'll see you back here.
Awesome. How much time do you want to give the breakout room? Let me stop live streaming too. Stop recording.
6 minutes.
6 minutes? Okay.
Also 2 minutes per question then?
1 minute being a disappointment to their parents. Some people have talked about being a disappointment to their parents. Some people have talked about appearing mentally weak. You don't know everything. Appearing selfish if you say no. You're a disappointment to other people. It's scary to be an adult, right? And so if I say no, they won't ask me for anything ever again. So that's the kind of stuff that we're dealing with here. So if you are reading this and you're feeling a certain way, or you're noting something coming up for you, share it in the chat. Okay, we are all in this together. As you can see, chances are you're not the only one who feels the way you feel. So if there's something you want to share in the chat about what's going on for you, what's changed for you, share it in the chat. One of the things my clients and I have noticed is that this exercise of dismantling your fear is almost always a bit anticlimactic. And it actually can sometimes be a bit embarrassing, because you realize that if, say, I don't know, your boss or your parents gets over their disappointment, your fears are basically unfounded. And if they choose to, I don't know, fire you because you're making healthy choices about something that's ultimately none of their business and it's not that big a deal to them, they may not actually be the kind of person or the team or company you want to be part of anyway. So what this is all about, what is in the chat, what is going on for you right now, is that it is all about our mindset. It's all about your thoughts, your beliefs, and your words. Your mindset is your thoughts, your beliefs, and your words. That is what this is all about. And it's all about what you're making the words yes and no mean in your mind and in your imagination, quite frankly, right? Let's get true about this. A lot of this is in your imagination. And by starting to dig deeper into the meaning you're creating about saying yes and no, you are increasing your own level of awareness. And the thing about increasing your own level of awareness is this: awareness gives you choice, my friends. Awareness gives you choice. Oh my God. What you have just written in the chat, what you have just discovered for yourself in the breakout room and here right now is important. When you pay attention to what you've got going on around your thoughts, your beliefs, and your words, you can then choose whether they are something you want to hang on to or whether they're something you want to change. If it works for you, hang on to it. If it's something that actually is getting in the way now, change it, right? Awareness equals choice. Yes. When you shift and change the way you see something, it allows you to see that problem from a completely different level of awareness. And awareness gives you choice. And in fact, the greatest freedom you have, my friends, is choice. So let's start getting into the tactical stuff, okay? Here's your first tactic. When you feel that familiar tension between saying yes but wanting to say no, I want you to pause for a moment. It sounds so simple, but it is so powerful. The power of the pause is what I call it, the power of the pause, okay? When you pause in that moment, when you notice that kind of dissonance in your brain and what's going on for you, pause and notice what is going on underneath for you. Okay, so for me, a lot of the times when I was working in a job that I was unhappy and I noticed this, I would say to myself, oh, there I go again, wanting to say yes right now because I'm scared of getting fired. Okay, or it could be, oh, I just want to say yes again to my parents because I'm scared they will abandon me and they won't love me anymore. Okay, by pausing before you speak and actually recognizing and being aware of what's going on for you, you respond instead of react. You respond instead of react. I often get asked by a lot of people about how to manage emotions, right, that come up when having difficult conversations. If any of you are like, oh my God, emotions, yes, how do I manage them? Just put emotions in the chat. And do you know you can add emojis now in the chat? It's amazing. So one client I had used to get so worked up. She was actually told by her boss that she was too emotional. God, have any of you been told that? Too emotional? And he added it to her performance review to sort it out. So we started working together on it. And since then, she's gone on to get a promotion and actually lead her team and her boss way more effectively and assertively. So let's talk a little bit right now about emotions and specifically about composure. Okay, because being able to manage your emotions is absolutely key in being assertive and influential and in saying no successfully. So for our session today, I'm going to share with you a distinction, okay? And the distinction is between emotions and feelings. Emotions and feelings, okay? So just for the sake of this conversation we're having right now, let's go with these definitions, okay? Emotions are instinctive. a triggering event, whether it's something external or maybe it's our own brain anticipating something, that triggering event can generate an emotional response like fear or amusement, sadness or anger, relief or love. Okay, emotional responses often happen without much of our conscious will, and most of the emotions we feel are automatic and they're physiological. Now, for the sake of this distinction, let's now think about feelings. So that was emotions. Let's talk about feelings. Feelings, on the other hand, just go with me here. See what you think about this. Feelings are how we choose to interpret our emotions. Okay, feelings are how we choose to interpret our emotions. So if you have ever calmed yourself down, that is you choosing a different feeling than what originally came up for you. Okay, if you've ever self-soothed before, because we often think that we are at the mercy of our emotions, but that is just not true. It's not true. You can choose to feel differently in any situation, even if those emotions come up instinctively. Let's say you're in a meeting and people start talking or raising their voices with a negative tone. Okay, you hear that edge in that voice, you know what I mean? So let's talk about what you might feel in terms of immediate emotions, right? You might feel immediate emotions of fear, of anger, sadness, maybe. Maybe you have some physiological symptoms that you think about. Maybe you feel your blood pressure rising. Your heart might start beating faster. Your palms might start getting sweaty. You probably know what the telltale signs are for you. Instead of allowing those emotions to go further to dread or anxiety, you can pause. It's that power of the pause again. You can notice what emotions are coming up for you and let them be. Take some breaths, deep breaths, and choose to feel something different. So in those situations I just described to you, like in those meetings, I consciously choose, for example, to feel alert yet calm. I quite like that combination. So to do that, I keep breathing deeply. I am very conscious about the tone in which I speak in. I speak in a very even tone. I almost sit, make sure I'm sitting comfortably in my chair. I try to think positively about the people in the room. I choose to be that calm force amid the storm. So all those choices you can make generate a new feeling that's different to what came up earlier. And over time, as you practice this, if you choose to create the feelings you want from your emotions, your brain will likely habituate to those new feelings automatically. So emotions come and go, but how you feel can last a lot longer and you can control that. So isn't it powerful to know that you can master your feelings? Right? And so if it helps when it comes to saying no, practice saying no on the relatively small stuff, right? It could be saying no to Asha from marketing, who always asks you to help out on a new initiative that you don't have time for. Or maybe say no to Harry in HR, who always is volunteering you for organizing the next team building event. Whatever it is, one of the key things to successfully saying no is actually being really clear that no is the right answer for you. So let's actually talk through some useful tools that you can take away with yourself today to start figuring out whether your yes should really be a no. So let's talk about, first of all, assessing risks. Let's be honest here, there's always going to be a risk involved in saying no, right? So first of all, let's acknowledge that it may not actually be smart or safe for you to change how you behave around a reasonable fear. So for example, your fear might actually be less about what you or others think about you. It may actually be more around your physical safety or your mental well-being. So for certain things, it may not actually be safe for you to say no, and it's important to acknowledge that and to respect that. You need to have enough safety to warrant the risk of saying no, okay? So in these cases, ask yourself, does this fear actually serve me, right? Am I right to be fearful, maybe here, of my physical safety or my mental well-being? And if it doesn't serve me, am I prepared to let that fear set it down? Am I prepared to set that fear down? Now, there are times when having fear can actually serve you. This is not a war against fear. I'm not here to tell you, no fear. Yeah, that was super 1990s of me. But anyway, This is about raising your level of awareness of what is driving that fear for you and seeing if it's actually helping you or not. Okay. So let's assume that saying no is actually a viable option. Okay. So here are some tools you can use to assess the risk. The first one that I love is this one. I call it the 10-10-10 test. Okay. This one's super simple. Ask yourself, will this, me saying no to this, will this still matter in 10 days, 10 weeks, 10 months, maybe even 10 years? Hell, maybe even 10 minutes from now, right? Will this still matter in 10 days, 10 weeks, 10 months, 10 years? You choose your unit of time. And what this does is that it kind of pulls us out from the micro view, and we get the zoom out 35,000 foot view, which can give us a lot more perspective. Okay, so that's the first one, 10-10-10 tests. So take that one. The second one that I really like is the worst case or best case scenario test, right? So the best case or the worst case. And when I'm talking about the best case or the worst case, I'm talking about the likelihood of it occurring and what the actual impact is on your life, okay? So ask yourself this: if the worst case scenario actually happened, would you be able to figure it out? Right? Would you be okay? Because sometimes the actual worst case scenario is actually not as bad as we think it is. Okay, we're all creatives here. Your imagination is designed to go like full fun. Okay, but sometimes it works to our disadvantage. So check out the best and worst case scenarios. Okay, the next tool is also a very cool one. I love this one. And they are a set of 4 questions that you can ask yourself about the saying yes and the saying no. And so the first question is this: what will happen if I say yes? Okay. And as you ask yourself these questions, I invite you to not just listen to the immediate answer, give yourself a good 10 seconds at least before you start listening to what you're saying, okay? Because sometimes it takes a while to really get down there. So first question, what will happen if I say yes? Second question, what will happen if I say no? Those are the obvious 2 questions, but there's another couple of permutations here. Third question, what won't happen if I say yes? Right, you figured out what will happen, but what won't happen if you say yes? And then the last one is, what won't happen if I say no? And we often forget to ask ourselves those, the third one and the fourth one, because we're so focused on the first and the second. So here are a few more questions for you to ask yourself to actually help you figure out whether it should be a yes or a no. And with all that in mind, you can also ask yourself questions such as, can I manage the risk of saying no? Is this risk acceptable to me? And ultimately, will I say yes or will I say no? Okay. How am I sliding the index card down without looking? So much practice. I practice in front of the mirror every night. I'm just teasing, but it's kind of true. So having a concrete understanding of where no comes from, you can get that by doing what you're learning here, by asking why, and looking for an answer clear enough to you that you can write it down, you can show it to someone else, and it makes perfect sense to both of you. Okay, that's how you know you're really clear on your yes or your no. And if no is not the right answer for you, that's also great. Okay, continue saying yes and don't judge yourself for it. You can say no to other things, right? And it actually might help you to practice saying no to smaller, less risky stuff. Another thing to bear in mind when it comes to saying no is saying no might mean loss of some sort for you. It might mean pain, sorrow, and grief, real emotions. And if you read what was here earlier about what saying no means, you'll identify with that. So don't be afraid. Remember, you don't have to be at the mercy of your emotions. We spoke about that a little bit earlier. You have more control than you think. You have that power of choice, and you can create a new path for yourself instead of reacting to what's going on. You can trust yourself. You know the right thing to do. Okay, let's get back to strategies. Okay, I want to give you as many tools as I can today. So the second strategy is opportunity cost. right? If those of you have a little bit of background in economics or just, stuff, you may have heard of opportunity cost, which is when you say yes to lots of things, you're also saying no to lots of things. That's what opportunity cost means, right? For those of you who love formulas, right? If you have a maths background like I do, opportunity cost is the return on the option you didn't choose minus the return on the option you did choose. So it's basically about the value of what you lose when choosing between a yes or a no. And when I say return on or value, it's not always about money. It can be about time, your energy, your effort. It can be about your satisfaction. Your satisfaction is important. It can be about your enjoyment or your pleasure, or even your sense of integrity. One of my clients wanted to take her business to the next level. Maybe some of you are thinking that for yourself too. So in one of our sessions, I asked her what she wanted for a business. And after a moment, she declared it out loud and it was super powerful. But then she went really quiet for a moment, like super quiet. And the reason she went quiet after being so joyful and declaring her dream of what she wanted for a business was that in that moment of declaring what her business dream was, it hit her that she was effectively saying no to a whole bunch of other business ideas she had come up with over the years. And although she was happy and content with her decision, she was also grieving the loss of the other ideas. And again, if any of you are like super creative and like, oh my God, there are so many ideas, I don't want to say no, put it in the chat. If you identify with that client, let me know. So when it comes to opportunity cost, you can ask yourself questions such as, if I put my time and effort into this, what am I giving up my time and effort doing instead? You can ask yourself, what am I willing to give up in order to make this, the thing I want, a reality? You can ask yourself, will saying yes gain me more than what I sacrifice? And you can also ask yourself, is the return on saying yes going to be more than the return on saying no? Remember, your resources are precious. Use them wisely. Here is another strategy for you. One reason you might stop yourself from saying no when you want to, and see if you identify with this, is because of actually how much effort, money, and time you've already put into something. If you've ever let unworn clothes clutter your closet just because they were expensive or nice, or if you've stayed in a relationship you didn't want to just because of all the time you already invested into it, you are familiar with what is known as the sunk cost fallacy. If you are like, yep, sunk cost, yep, put it in the chat. Me equals sunk cost, or sunk cost equals me. So economists all around the world will tell you that sunk costs are no longer relevant to any kind of future rational decision making, right? And yet, how many times have you fallen for this? I have too. Don't look in my closet right now and ask me how often I wear all the clothes, okay? So why do we do it? Maybe it's because you don't want to actually feel that loss, right? Maybe it's because you don't want to appear wasteful. Whatever it is, again, when you become aware of what is driving your fear to say no, you can look at it objectively and see if it's actually serving you, okay? Fear, momentum, the status quo, they all combine to keep us stuck, right? Especially status quo, good Lord, and it builds up. I mean, the status quo is the status quo because it's good at sticking around. So sunk costs are real. Let's not, beat around the bush. You did invest a whole bunch of time, effort, energy, money, love, years, right? But we have to ignore them. We really do. And better for you is possible if you care enough to walk away from what was, and you are brave enough to build something new. Saying no isn't about feeling bad, okay? After all, there's nothing you can do to get back that money or time or energy that you've lost. Saying no is about honoring your integrity and setting and enforcing your own boundaries. It's about creating that possibility of you saying yes to something that is more important to you, more meaningful to you, and more fulfilling to you. Okay, now speaking of boundaries, one of my favorite words, if you want some better defined or stronger boundaries, you are not alone. If you want better boundaries, just put better boundaries in the chat, okay? I see it all the time and I see it in myself too, okay? So I'm with you on this. To know whether you want to say yes or no to something, you need to take stock of your own needs first. Okay. So for example, let's say around shutting down the laptop at the end of the workday, okay? You may actually feel that one of your boundaries may be best enforced with a new habit that you want to get into, such as shutting down your laptop at 5 p.m. and not touching it again until 9 a.m. It could be shutting off all Slack notifications to your phone, just all of them, just shut them all down, shut them all down. It was the best thing I ever did, I told you. Get really clear on what you want and need first. And then you can get clear on the boundaries that you can put in place, such as communicating to your team, when you will respond to Slack and when you won't, or your out of office hours, or delegating some tasks that are not, quite frankly, the best use of your time and are better suited to someone else, okay? Another strategy that you can use here around saying no is to take a moment to figure out ahead of time where the difficult no's are going to occur. The really gross, sticky no's. This will help you be prepared instead of getting caught off guard, right? When the need to say no shows up. So it could be a particular person in your life or group of people. One of my clients, she was giving up drinking. For her, the most difficult no was a certain group of friends that she had who, quite frankly, every time they met up, they would all drink, right? It was almost their bonding thing, right? And so she almost dreaded saying no there. So we worked through that. So if you have a particular group of people or person where it's a difficult no, think about that ahead of time and plan for it. Get really clear, right, on what you want to say in those situations, because people need to know what you are trying to say. Right? Brené Brown says this all the time. Being clear is being kind. Clear equals kind, right? When you use direct language that gets straight to the point, the other person understands where you're coming from. They understand you better. They understand your needs better. And they might even be able to meet your need for you or with you. So a tool I often give clients is for powerful no phrases. You can often begin with, I need this or that, I won't, I can't, right? Another opener could be, I don't like, or I'm not going to. Another one that's really popular, I use this one all the time, is I'd appreciate it if you didn't, And remember, it's not your responsibility to have the other person react in any particular way. They will react however they do, whether it's your boss, your parents, whoever it is. Your responsibility is to communicate what your boundaries are so that they can then decide whether they want to continue in this boundary dance with you, okay? Because you're not always going to have people cheering you on, and that is okay. Because let's get real here. It is not their job to cheer you on. It is your job to cheer you on, okay? So another helpful technique as well that might be useful for you is to actually learn the language of no. And there are some different versions of no, believe it or not, all right? There's no, okay? No thanks, I think I'll pass. I'm not taking on new things. It doesn't sound like the right fit. I'd rather not, thank you. That doesn't work for me. I appreciate your time, but no, thank you. Okay, all of those, just feel free just to take and just use all the time, okay? I use those all the time. But there are other options too. There's no, not now, but, right? And that might be that it becomes a yes after a specific date or time. Okay. It could also be no, not now, but, and it might be situation dependent. So you might be willing to say yes if there is a particular circumstance or situation that is met. And also it could be no, but, and you might want to suggest something else, a different option, another suggestion. Okay. There are lots and lots of options here. And the key is to practice. The more you practice saying no, and the more you make it all about you and not them, the easier it will be, right? Keep the emotion out of it. Don't try and second guess what they're thinking or worry that they're going to get upset, because you are responsible for your end of the conversation. And if they get upset, that's their work, not yours. And if you get super really stuck, you can give yourself a safety net. Another one could be, a safety net could be, let me think about it. which is, I guess, a little bit similar to maybe. So maybe I'll retract what I said earlier about maybe. But another one, it could be, I can't decide right now. Okay, I can't decide right now. I'll let you know by the end of the week. Or let me check my schedule and get back to you. Okay. You train people how to treat you. And the only way you can change how people treat you is by speaking up. Okay. So on that note, one key aspect of all of this today is this. We often think that in order to change, it's about first having something. And then once I have that thing, then I can do something different. And then after I do the thing, I'll become someone different. Okay. We believe the order is have first, and then I'll do it, and then I'll become it. But that's not the correct order. The correct order is the other way around. Okay. You have to be that person first. You have to really see yourself as that person first. And then from that world, you will start to do things differently. And then from that world, you will have different things. Okay, so it's be, do, have. So what I mean for this today is start identifying yourself as someone who says no easily. See yourself as someone who takes a stand, who aligns with their values, whose needs are met. See yourself as someone who is more scared of living an inauthentic life than getting yelled at. Okay. If you have to choose between letting yourself down or letting someone else down, please choose letting someone else down. Please, please, please. Good boundaries are all about self-love. It's all about you. Be the kind of person who loves yourself so fiercely, and you will find that saying no will start to make you feel powerful, not guilty. So you know how earlier I said that you need to get clear on your needs first before you can set clear boundaries and figure out yes or no's? Well, it actually helps to know what's important to you and what you truly want and desire. And I've got a special bonus for you about exactly that, which I'll share with you at the end of today's session. But right now, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to answer this in the chat. Think back to your dream no, the one where you dream about saying no, and share in the chat right now what it is you want in that particular area of your life. Okay, the area of your life that dream no sits in. So if your dream no is about saying no to your parents, think about what you actually want when it comes to your relationship with your parents. Okay, so the question I want you to answer is, what do you actually want in your life in that specific area of your life? So put it in the chat. Include also the feelings you want. Often I hear people say they want a better work-life balance or they want a better job. Right. What's important is not the object or the person itself, but what the object or the person allows you to experience. So for example, you may say you want a better marriage. Okay, but what you really want is to experience and share peace and love with another soul, another human being, right? You may say you want better health, but maybe what you really want is to have more energy and ability to experience life to its fullest. Okay, so let's see what you've written. I'm seeing freedom. I'm seeing the challenge is dismantling our individually installed programming that lets others down is dangerous. Yes, absolutely. Weightlessness. That's what somebody's written in the chat about what they want. Weightlessness, freedom, expressing my thoughts freely without retaliation. And thinking that saying no and thinking about what others think of me, it doesn't define me, it defines them. Yes, absolutely. Saying no and being okay with people who are disappointed, keeping that inner peace despite what other people think. Yes, centeredness, peace and energy. Okay, so this is real stuff, okay, that you want. So now it's time to take the next step. We're going to go back into the breakout rooms, and you are going to answer the following 3 questions. So lots and lots of 3s today, okay? So when you get into your breakout rooms, you're gonna answer the 3 questions. You're gonna take it in turns. This is where we start to get real. So the first question you're gonna answer is, what is the next small, simple step that you will take towards your dream no? It could actually be saying no, okay? So answer that question first of all. Question number 1, what is the next super small, super simple step you will take towards your dream no? The second question you're going to answer is, when will you take that step? And then the third question to answer is, what will you get out of taking that step? Okay, so I'm going to give you the 3 questions again. First question, you're going to answer, what is the next small, simple step you will take towards your dream no? Question number 2, when will you do it? And question number 3, what will you get out of taking this step? Okay, so go into your groups. You have, again, 6 minutes to share, take turns, and off you go. We'll see you back here in 6 minutes. Are you ready? This is very important. There is enough. You have enough. And you are enough. Okay, so it's time to circle back to where we started and imagine again. Imagine a world where waking up each morning inspires you and you're able to be and do your very best every day. And imagine a world where you confidently and clearly say no. Drop in the chat right now and say, that is who I am. That is who I am. I am somebody who confidently and clearly says no. This is who you are now. This is your identity. You are someone who says no when they want to say no. You are someone who loves to say no. You can say no. You do say no. You are saying no. You excel at saying no. You're grateful that you get to say no. So honor yourself and your dreams and what's important to you, okay? And don't forsake them for other people's, for goodness sake. So there's one more question that I always like to ask, and I want you to ask yourself this, if you're ever in doubt. The question to ask yourself is, if I already had all the love in the world, how would I do this differently? So yay! Thank you so much for your time today. And as a thank you, I have a special bonus. I have 2 special bonuses, actually. Okay, the first one is, if any of you are on Instagram, if you're on Instagram, and not everyone is, so that's cool. But if you're on Instagram, and if you take a photo of yourself watching this live right now, this is only for my friends who are watching live. Take a photo of yourself watching this. And if you tag me, it could be in a post or in a story, and write something nice. My handle is @Louise Lee Coaching. If you tag me, the best person who shares a photo of themselves watching this live right now and who says something cool and tags me, the best version of that, I will give you a free one-on-one coaching session. Free. It's on me. It's totally free. I really want to help you out, but I can't help all of you out, sadly. But I want to help you out. So take a photo of yourself, put it on Instagram, story or reel or post. It's up to you. Tag me so I can see it @LouiseLeeCoaching.com. Sorry, @LouiseLeeCoaching. And I will pick the best one and I will let you know by the end of the day tomorrow. If that's you, I will DM you. Okay. Another special bonus for you. This is for everybody, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching the recording. One of the key themes of today is knowing really what's important to you and what's true for you. Because when you have clarity on that and you align what you do and how you are with what's important, your life becomes easier, more fulfilling, and more joyful. So if you want to figure out what your values are, go to my website, which is louiselee.com. And if you enter your name and email address onto that page, I will send you my carefully curated list of values to help you reveal what your values are. Knowing what your values are is really one of the most important things that you can do, because it will totally help you out, especially if you have trouble making decisions. Okay, that will really help you. And as well as the list of values, you will also get access to my emails where I share personal stories and valuable insights, stuff I never share anywhere else. So go now to louiselee.com, put in your name and your email address, and you will get your own life compass. And please also feel free to find me on LinkedIn. Just look for Louise Lee and you can add me. When you add me though, please add a note, okay? I don't know about you, but I don't always say yes to people who don't write me a note, because I'm like, who are you? I don't even know you. So if you want to connect with me, please do. But just write something in the note like, hey, you know, I went to your talk that you did with Design Bunnies and Collab Collective, something like that. And if you have any comments or questions after today, or if you have any comments and you're watching the recording, whether it's about saying no or how to be a better leader or doing a workshop like this or other workshops for other groups that you're part of, or what it's like to have coaching with me, just send me an email. This is my email address here, louiselee@fastmail.fm. I would be super happy to hear from you. And that's it. I'm out. If I had a mic, I would drop it. So it is now time to end the recording and Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Do you want to do a quick group photo? Okay, I'm gonna stop live streaming on YouTube. So bye YouTube
All
buddies.
right.
There's actually as I wait for everyone to turn on their cameras, we have part one, part two. Oh, the host has spotlighted your video for everyone. Nice. But anyways, but this is still kind of recording, but this is important. We have part one, part two, part three right now. But I think I'm gonna go in once it takes like a day to process like YouTube does, but I'll go and just like merge everyone together. So there'll just be like one link that we send out an email for everyone to access. So you don't have to like find three different links. But yeah, if you also found an interesting takeaway or like learned something new, empowering, want to share with your friends, definitely feel free to post your takeaways on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, tag Louise, tag Collab Collective, tag Design Buddies. I've always been resharing stuff on our Instagram stories and retweeting stuff from all of y'all's takeaway from our events. So definitely do so as well. And also trying to comment on all of your LinkedIn posts to help you just get more engagement and get more views in the tech industry to expand your network, building your personal brand. So yeah, definitely share your takeaways on social media. Love to hear what y'all learned from this situation, from this event. With that, we can do a group photo. Do we also want to do the Instagram wave? This is actually fun to be recorded as well. We can do a static one first and then a wave for our Instagram story. So yeah, all right, 1, 2, 3, smile, and then a wave. All right, let me open up the stories. I've always accidentally posted on my personal account before, so just make sure I'm on Design Buddy's account. All right, ready, set, wave. Hello, buddies. We just finished a wonderful talk on People Pleaser's Guide to Saying No with Louise Lee and Collab Collective. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and you can find the recording on our YouTube channel. Awesome. So that concludes it all. Thank you all so much for coming. Definitely, if you haven't registered on Lumot, that we'll just send out all the recording to there, and we also drop all the links on Design Buddy's Discord as well. So, bye, YouTube buddies.